welcome to Coscast. I'm William, WhiteFangCosplay.
I'm Nick, also known as Sinnika.
I'm David, Sono Photos.
And today, I'd like to start off by saying that this podcast is brought to you by Hero Hair. Hero Hair is the cosplay wigs for the serious adventure, and we're going to talk about more about them later in the podcast. So look forward to that. First off, we'd like to talk about the fact that still not a lot of cons going on, but a good time to talk about all those summer cons that we have coming up, which is a lot.
A lot of popular ones, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of big ones.
So first one that's coming up is Kineticon.
Yeah.
Which we've all been to.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have Boston Comic Con that's coming up.
Yep.
You have...
we have Colossal Con next week. And then we have... We have Otakuthon in August also.
That's a big one for you guys, because you were just telling me about how it's 11th for biggest anime cons in North America.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, no,
I never
great,
knew that.
I mean,
really excited.
you think it's not that far, but Canada's like, well, you think Canada's far, and then it's like, oh wow, it's only like 4 hours from us, 4 or 5 hours, which, you know, Katsucon is like 8.
I know, right?
Comparatively, I mean, yeah, you have to cross the border, and if you're an American, you need like a thing, but it's, I think it's totally
I want to go
worth
to
it.
RTX in Austin, and that's...
Oh yeah, I've heard
That's
about
far.
RTX.
That's far.
That's far.
I want
You can't drive to that one.
Yeah, I need to fly
mean-
because just the amount of time that I would save, because it's time that would be working otherwise. So
Yeah.
it's like going to save
Yeah.
me like
Yeah.
work time.
Oh yeah.
So even though it sucks to fly, I kind of have to. But I'm not planning on doing any crazy cosplays
Yeah.
for that, so it kind of
There
works
for
out.
content.
Yeah.
So
Are you
Fun
gonna
content.
totally go, or are you just gonna?
I'm like
make it an
99%
effort?
sure. I'm waiting for a check to clear, and I'm gonna buy a plane ticket. So
Oh,
unless
nice.
unless something drastic happens, cross
Crazy.
my figures.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, that'll be cool.
Sipping the tea.
I've heard about RTX.
Also, I heard Austin is just a really cool like city to be right now. It's really up and coming hip
Yeah,
city.
Yeah.
I just actually saw that on just my job marketing. It
Yeah.
literally came up on LinkedIn, like, you know, Texas, Houston, Texas, or whatever.
Austin.
Austin.
Yeah.
Houston.
I hear it's one of
up
the
and
best
coming.
places for food, which makes me excited.
Oh, that's fun.
Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas, right? That's what they say.
Gold digger.
Portion
Yeah. Even their cons? No. But they must have a lot of cons in Texas though, because they have so many
I've
major
been seeing
cities
that.
in
Yeah,
Texas.
I feel like there's a lot. We just don't hear about them, obviously. Cause
Yeah,
we're
I
so
see
far
a few
away,
of them because
but-
Mineral Blue, he's down there, and he's always talking about the cons down in that general area.
Yeah.
That's fair. And there's got to be... I really think that we're really fortunate where we are in New England, because every state wants their own standard anime and Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And then you have multiple cities that want their own thing separate to that as well, like,
Yeah.
and your smaller cons. And
Yeah.
because in New England, where we have all these smaller states, there's so many cons, such a small radius that is
Yeah,
awesome.
I know. It doesn't like Kineticon. I mean, that's just another decent sized con, but it's only like 2 hours. There's
Yeah.
nothing that's like too far from you in New England.
Yeah, it's awesome. Meanwhile, it's like other good places would technically be California because you have all those big cities right in a row.
Yeah.
But
There's a ton there.
yeah, but
obviously
imagine
for-
if you lived in a place like, for instance, like Seattle. Like you have anything Seattle oriented and maybe a few smaller cons like
Yeah.
around there, but like there's not much that way, or you have to go down the coast and stuff like that.
That
like
we
there's
don't
gonna
know
be-
about.
Yeah,
It's-
there's probably a bunch of small stuff.
Yeah,
that
right?
We don't know
You
about,
probably
we
think
never
about
hear
that.
about because it's a local thing. Like I'm sure.
Probably just less incentive to have more cons, if that makes sense. Because when you have
Yeah.
all these different states, it's like different organizations that really want to get,
Yeah.
and each
Yeah.
state wants to have their bragging right to like
Yep.
having
Yeah.
a con. Like
to
I'm
have,
sure
to having the biggest. The
Boston
bigger con.
Comic Con takes a lot of like pride in like having their like big con, because
Oh,
they're
yeah.
kind of like not trying to headbutt, but like with like New York Comic Con, like they want to show that
I
hey,
bet.
we're in
We
this
could
game.
have one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're a good city.
Yeah.
Except the roads.
Except the roads.
The
Screw the roads, man.
The roads in
But at
Boston
least
are
there's
terrible.
parking.
Yeah, right? Where do you park in New York? Like, where?
Yeah.
That's like the one question. That's always what makes me worry about New York. Is like, if I go,
Oh,
Where do
Thing
I
is, what we
park?
probably do is
you
just
just
like
train in.
I
stay
got
outside
towed.
and train.
I got towed last time I was in New York City.
Oh no.
Yep. I am so scared to park in cities now because of that, because I'm so just
I
like...
would be scared too.
Because it's one of those
Yeah,
stupid
right.
places where there's like 5 signs of like explaining when you can park here or if you can't.
That's like DC.
And I just
They're the one-
misread it.
Well,
like,
Boston
like
has some of those
Washington,
too. Like,
DC
there's
too.
like
Oh,
the
yeah.
second and third Thursday of the month you can't park on this street. It's like,
It's like-
what?
mine was
It's
because
like that meme when you just see like all the numbers calculating and
yeah, he's evaluating. And for me, it was because apparently it was commercial parking only, and I didn't see that part of it
yeah.
because it was like the times checked out and all that kind of stuff. Like I'm a-okay.
Yep.
Paid for. I also paid for a ticket. So
Yeah, it's not one of those things like
Wait,
photography
they-
where
I
you
paid
can
for parking.
ask forgiveness.
Paid for a
not
parking guide.
permission.
Still told you.
also 45 minutes. 45 minutes they had that sucker out of there.
Wow.
We were only parked there for 45 minutes. Wow.
Yeah.
They don't mess around.
No, they don't.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I know, right?
And it was in front of a McDonald's of all places. It wasn't even like in
What?
like a place that made sense where there'd be commercial only parking.
So how did you run to picking it up? Did you have to get like?
I had to run to
taxi?
the
You had to
freaking.
go to the impound lot?
Well, because it was gonna cost me so much, I didn't want to like take a taxi or Lyft because I was on my way to a
You're
con.
gonna be paying money.
Yeah.
That's
Pick
so
up your
sad.
car.
I had to
like-
run like 15 blocks. It was awful.
That's so crazy.
Never
That's
again.
so funny. I know, right?
You'll never catch me doing that again. Like
Yeah.
that has me scarred for life.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
So friendly tip for people going to New York City: careful where you park.
Yeah,
I say play
everywhere.
Just walk.
play it safe. Yeah.
Don't
Play it
walk.
safe. Find a garage.
Take
Even
a
if it's a little
lift.
bit more of a
Yeah.
walk, you know you'll be okay there.
Yeah.
You
A
know.
garage or a Lyft or an Uber, just.
Yeah, I just hate it. I hate it so much because
You're
I had a lot of
spending enough money.
I had a lot of problems with when I went to Anime NYC trying to do parking, and because like for a lot of this, it's better to pay for parking ahead of time because then you won't.
Yeah,
get, like,
I've
screwed
heard
over
about that, like
Yeah,
parking
I've heard you can do
panda and
that
stuff
then.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I've never done it yet,
And in
but
Boston,
seems
Boston does that
interesting.
too. There's some lots
I'll
of
have to
Boston
look
that
into
do
it.
Because
that.
fortunately near Javits, there's actually a fair amount of parking
that's
on
the
the
center.
coast there, on the
Okay.
pier there.
Yeah.
And I was able to look at all the rates for all those places. I think I paid $109 for 4 days of parking, which isn't that bad. I've been screwed over
$109
worse.
for 4 days of
For
parking.
New
No,
York,
because
yeah,
the
that's
thing.
more than we pay Anime
I was
Boston.
gonna say, Anime
That's less than we
Boston
paid
was
in
like
Boston.
3 days, and it was like
You know what's really cool
120
about
bucks.
parking is Kineticon because they like you can pay
Their
like
parking's pretty good.
Yeah, they're parking.
because
Kineticon
like hey we have a
is
deal for
pretty
you.
good.
We realize that you're here for an event. Here's this. If
Here's
you're
the
going to be here
rate.
all weekend,
Yeah.
$40. It's like something like that, and it's
Yeah.
like only
In
3
and
days,
out.
$30, kind of like that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Special con rate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that was
and I
good.
remember Katsucon did that a couple years ago.
Oh really?
Remember, yeah, it was like $80 for the weekend.
Yeah,
or something
they did
like
a few years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. The first time we went, they did have like a deal, like 60. It
I
was
think
pretty
it was,
cheap.
think it was
like
$80 for the
$80
weekend, but it was gonna be like $40 a day, so you can
Yeah.
come and go as many times as you wanted.
Yeah.
It was-
I mean,
yeah,
you
it
don't
was
really use
pretty
it at Katsucon because you're kind of there once you're
Well,
there. You don't
we
leave
weren't.
that. But we weren't. Yeah, we were
Our first
commuters.
time.
We had to
Yeah,
drive.
we stayed across the bridge, and actually in Virginia, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's too bad we don't have more. Like, why don't they make convention centers that's outside the city limits, or at least on the outskirts?
I know, right?
All these convention centers are always like,
because then nobody would want to go to it. Then what are you gonna do?
Well, I mean,
well, because like it causes so many problems
Even
with that.
yeah, I mean, it's so funny, like the photography thing, because like yeah, even like where is it? The one in Otakuthon, but that's in a city. It's right in the city, and like I guess you can get like in trouble for taking photos in front of some of the big
Really?
landmarks. Yeah,
yeah.
Ooh.
you can
Yeah,
like
you
you
can.
don't, but you can.
Actually,
Like
some of
it's
the-
really weird. Like it's kind of like the whole ask forgiveness, not permission, but it's like
Yeah.
That's
tricky.
sucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one church in particular they don't really. I think because there's so many tourists that go there
Maybe.
too.
Mhm.
Well, they also, I don't think they're really. I think they say it to deter some people, but
Yeah,
they know people
I
are
mean,
still gonna do it.
Yeah, that's relatable.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think, like a good comparison of like good venue, not so great venue is in Boston with the two different main things. So you have the one that's by the mall. What's that one called? The Heinz?
The Heinz, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have the big one, which I think is just the Boston Convention
Yeah,
Center.
yeah.
Boston
And-
Events and conventions.
Yeah, that the Boston Convention Center is big, but the Heinz is also big, just not quite as big.
Yeah.
And
This-
the Heinz is right in downtown. Like
Yeah.
it couldn't
Yeah.
be any worse than that. Meanwhile, the Boston Comic Con one, it's towards the piers where it's a
Yeah.
little bit more open.
Yeah, and they
you
have, that
have
big
better
parking lot out back. There's a bunch of them within walking distance. Parking
Mhm.
garages
It's
you
just
can
the
park in.
timings.
And
You can't really go outside
Yeah.
sometimes. It's
Yeah.
so cold or like
Mhm.
windy or,
That's
or
fair.
raining.
that was big.
But-
That's a big issue.
But it's
like,
so
yeah.
much less, and then also
Oh,
just to get to that
strict.
part of Boston, it's just easier getting in and out. Like it's right off the highway.
Yeah.
You don't really have to do
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
driving.
Yeah, it's
That's
very
so
right off the
stressful.
highway.
We were talking, me and Dee were talking on the second episode about
Yeah.
AB travel specifically. Sometimes it's worth parking outside and then taking a
Yeah.
train in. Like,
It
because the
is.
worst
I
thing
mean-
is being stressed before you even get to the
Oh
con.
my gosh, yeah.
I mean,
It's horrible.
I think the biggest thing with us for AB, like, we just foot the cost of parking in the
Yeah,
parking
we
garage
just-
so we
it's-
don't even have to worry about.
We
traveling
had
every
to
single
do
day.
that 2 years ago when it rained like all weekend.
Yes.
Because like we paid for the ridiculous parking at the hotel. It was like $40 a day.
That's
yeah,
what we
that's what I was.
do.
It's
It's just
$42 a day.
Because usually I bring armor or something, and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, because
travel
it
with
wasn't just raining. It was like bad rain and it
Yep,
was
I
snowing some of
remember.
the days.
Like,
I
yeah, I
remember
think
that
that was-
year. I
that
remember
was-
looking out.
That was 2017.
Yeah.
It was like that nasty
year, yeah.
slush.
I guess it was last year because 80 is
this
more
year,
recent.
yeah.
It just feels
Yeah.
longer than
I
it
know,
was.
right?
I know, yeah, it was
I
definitely.
remember looking out.
2017.
I went up
That
to
was
the
a
room
pain.
after I like booked it into the dealer's room to get like merchandise first, and then like I went upstairs and I'm like, it's literally snowing.
Well, that's the thing. It was weird. It was
Can
like
you see
snowing all
it?
weekend, but there was no accumulation.
Yeah.
It was weird. Just that
The ground was
crappy
still warm.
slush.
Yeah.
It was so cold. Just the
So-
grossest possible weather.
And Boston Comic Con, this will be interesting this year because this will be their second year at the Boston Convention Center. Because actually, ironically, they were not at the Boston Convention Center before. They were not at the Heinz. They were at the
They were at that
Seaport
Seaport
World
I was
Trade
never
Center.
there.
Center.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we-
liked that
I
venue
never
though.
went there.
I've never been to that venue
Yeah, I've
because
never
we
been
went
there
to
either.
last year was our first Boston Comic Con,
Yep.
and I think we only went for Saturday.
Which
And-
is fine.
Yeah, and it was at the same place
Yeah.
as PAX. And
Because the thing about I haven't talked about it on the podcast. I talked about it in my review, which you can find in an article in my recap review on geekkind.tv. That compared to, especially now looking back after being to PAX East, they just did not utilize that space, and
No,
I'm giving
they
them
didn't at all.
I'm giving them a
Not at
pass
all.
because
It
it's
was
their
their
first
first
it was
year.
our first year.
Hopefully they'll fix it this year. I mean,
But I'm
I
hoping
don't
they're
know if
going
we'll
to take
go or
like
not,
either
but
3/4 or that full exhibit hall.
I know.
They
But
need to
when
take
they
more.
stuck the main stage in the
That's the
exhibit
worst
hall,
part.
You couldn't hear anything when they.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
You couldn't hear anything because they were talking too much.
Yeah, that was crazy. It was just
And they had to
so
take
loud
so many
on that
people out
side.
because it wasn't big enough. So many people want to go to events,
Well,
and
then
they had
they had to cap the amount of people that were in there too.
to, almost every single event they had to kick
Yeah.
people out.
So and
Yeah.
there's so many. There's so much space.
But,
They
yeah.
must not have wanted to pay for it all.
I think it's totally just they didn't know how much space they would need. They were like, I think this is probably about as much as we had at the World Trade Center, and then they probably learned that it was not.
No,
Yeah.
it
Sure.
was so, especially Saturday, as
It'll
you
be-
can contest, so crowded.
Yeah, it was so.
Yeah, that was the
gross.
day we went. We went in dealer's room early. It was like 10,
Early.
and it wasn't that bad. And
And
then
it
we
just
went
kept
back
getting
after
worse
like
and
at like
worse.
1 o'clock.
You
It was
You
like
couldn't even like. Yeah.
just trying to get through
Uncomfortably.
people through like
Like-
the artist area and the dealer's area. It was just
I applaud PAX
crazy.
East so much. Best crowd control I've seen because they had to put up with so many people in very tight spaces, and they constantly had staff making sure that everything was good. They have the tape on the floor, making it like, hey, if you're standing, stay within these boxes.
Yeah,
if you're
exactly.
moving, go.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
They were really.
PAX really
PAX
has their
was
stuff
just
down,
really
but I
good
mean
this
they also
year.
have the money to.
they have the money and they've been at that
Yeah,
venue
and the
for how
volunteers,
long?
Like, they have
Yeah.
a lot of enforcers.
Yeah.
Like, they have a
So
lot
I'm
of-
giving Boston Comic Con a pass for last year, but
Yeah,
this year,
try- yeah.
I
They
think
have to be
even
better.
this
Let me
year I'd
know.
probably give them another pass, but then
well, if they
the
do
third
exactly
year-
the same thing, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
really upset.
if they do if they do exactly the same
Well, they're
thing,
not
then
even
it's
called
like,
Boston
all right,
Comic
come
Con
on.
anymore. I think they're called
Well,
Fan
it's-
Expo Boston.
Yeah, it's Fan
Yeah,
Expo
'cause they
Boston,
changed
the name
it.
changed.
Because they bought that whole.
And I know Anime Boston is actually looking to move to that venue soon, but the thing is that they're stuck with a contract
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
Heinz, keeping them
Isn't it
there
like
for.
2023
Or
or
like
something like
2022
that.
or something like that.
I think it's a little bit later. I
Oh,
think
really?
I think it was they signed an 8-year
2024?
contract like 2 years ago or something like that. So I
Yeah,
think
so
they're stuck
maybe
there for like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Because you betcha they're gonna move out of there. They're using that space as much as they can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's.
I mean, they're probably gonna
Yeah.
move to the Boston
That's the only place they can
Convention Center,
go,
right?
which kind of stinks, but. Oh, well.
Especially with Anime NYC coming up and being a much more successful con than any past New York Anime Con, they're gonna have more
Yeah.
competition,
They
and
did
just like
really
how
well.
and just like how Boston Comic Con wants to show that they're a worthwhile con, just like New York Comic Con. I'm sure they're gonna want to do the same thing for Anime
Oh, yeah.
Boston,
Oh,
and
yeah.
because that's the thing is that Boston currently has a better Anime Con than New York City. However, that can change, you know.
And
Yeah.
I think that this year
And
gonna be
Anime NYC
interesting.
Anime
kind of
NYC is
has
probably gonna be like
Crunchyroll
double
really on
the
their side.
attendance.
Yeah,
Because
because
Crunchyroll's a big.
they had
force.
I went to that con. I know you guys didn't.
Yeah.
You would have never known that was a first year con.
Yeah.
It was
No,
so
that's what I
well
heard.
run.
It was just like everything was perfect,
Yeah.
and the
We
space
might
was
go this
perfect
year
for the amount
since
of
it's in
people.
November.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Anime
We
NYC.
might,
It's a
good
we
time.
might try to go like Saturday and Sunday kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was so great. And you know what was great is that you could tell that people wanted this convention because just the general people,
Yeah.
and especially at the Artist Alley. The Artist Alley was like the friendliest Artist
Well,
Alley
yeah,
I've
and
ever
I feel
been
like it's
to.
just easier. Like it's close. Like I mean, New York and Boston, like that. Those general areas are like art hubs, you know, where artists kind of reside and
Yeah.
live. So it's
There's
easy
so
for
many
them to
artists in
travel
New York
there.
City, so many
Good
artists
ones
in
and like
Boston,
passionate ones. So
I think it was so when I was going there, I was just thinking, it's like, man, people really wanted an anime con in New York City, and
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
you could
What's
feel
the thing is,
it.
it's surprising that there wasn't a big one
Yeah,
already.
especially with the population down
I mean,
there.
anime cons have been going on for
Forever.
since like the 90s. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy that they haven't had a successful one until like
Yeah.
now. But I think Anime NYC is going to explode.
I'm really happy because
Like-
it's run by really good people.
Yeah.
Good.
I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
just-
always that's we've seen some of those. Those are tricky. Like you've seen some just like they try
that's
to make
why the
them
fast
and
ones
they
failed.
drive right into the ground.
Yeah.
They make one wrong move and
The cool thing, going back a little bit, cool thing about Kineticon is that it's not a Comic Con or an Anime Con.
yeah,
it's just an
kind of
everything
a weird
con.
It's just a con.
in-between.
It's like,
Yeah.
come and hang out.
It-
We got
it-
comics and anime.
It's just awesome.
Connect
And
con.
it causes for some cool stuff. For instance, they have a death match there, and as far as I
Yeah.
know, it's the only death match that's not strictly anime, because all your death matches are
Oh.
only at
I
anime
didn't
didn't
know
cons.
know
that.
that
Yeah,
yet.
I didn't even
I'm not
think
used to
about
that
that.
program.
We-
I
yeah,
don't usually participate in
we
it,
haven't
so.
gone to the death match at
Yeah, I
Comic-Con
haven't
before.
So
Those are
it's a lot of fun. I went last year.
I always hear my friends talking about them, and they seem like they're hilarious. and
It's
so
something
much
that
fun.
we've never really found like the time to go to, but I
Yeah.
really want to try to go to a couple at some point.
So
Yeah.
Next
Kineticon
year.
is the one to go to because I believe they're the
Kineticon.
original makers of the death match.
Oh, really?
Because they took chess and they're like, we like just the battle aspect of chess, and they're like, what if we just did that part? And that's how the death match started.
That's
Yeah.
kind of so funny.
And other cons adopted it. And what was so great about last year, so they have like a lot of running gags, kind of like how AB does with their masquerade,
I
you
pick
know.
things up when I put them
Yeah, it's so cool because
Brody.
and so they have a lot of that going on. And this year they had something new that we will probably hear about for the longest time. They had a new thing where they had a separate room from the main stage for 21 plus, where they had drinks and they had the thing streaming to this room. Now, so
Wait, so like the death match was going on and it was streaming to the room? Or?
no, the death match was going on in the main stadium, but they had this like VIP room that was separate that you could watch a stream of it, where you could also be drinking and stuff
yeah.
like that.
Ah,
So
that is cool.
they were like, okay, it's not that far away. If we yell on the stream, drunks, yell as loud as you can go.
And
Let's
count
see if
for
we
them.
see if we can hear them. And then they did that. It's like, I want everybody to be quiet. So they did that, and you could hear just the faintest. and everybody freaked out because it was so cool.
Oh my gosh.
So, but this
That
came
is-
into play later because
Yeah.
there was a tie, and they're like, okay, so usually tiebreakers are either rock, scissors, paper, or dance battle. But they decided just like, okay, we're gonna try something new. We're gonna have the drunks decide. So we're like, okay, so everybody's gonna be really quiet. It's like we want the drunks now to weigh in on who they think should win this match, and they did it. And so like, it was so weird. The first time they
That's
did it,
so
they're
funny.
like, okay, drunks, and they point to the first person, and you're like, rah, like, oh cool, we can hear them. That's awesome. And but we just like we had no idea how loud it was because we never heard like any comparison.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and now this person, we heard like 2 people. Like
Oh,
the drunks, I think they made 3 tiebreakers. They were very decisive. Like there was
So
no
it was like
mistaking.
all or nothing.
Yeah, it was hilarious because it would be a
That's so
tie,
great.
right? And you couldn't tell, so you're expecting something similar from them because they're
Yeah.
also deciding that. Nope. Like
Just leave it up to the
heartbreakingly,
drunks.
yeah, heartbreakingly
That's what they say.
decisive.
Drunk people are like brutally honest.
Yeah.
So that made it like that was just gold. It was
I
so
know,
cool
that
to be
is
a part
hilarious.
That's
Uh,
funny.
When is it? Or when is deathmatch usually? Is it?
of that. It's usually that's like their main event, so that's like on Saturday
Yeah, 'cause
evening.
if I go to Kineticon this year, it'll probably be Saturday.
It's just so much. Even if you don't stay for the whole thing, stay for like the first 2 rounds. You know,
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun.
I know.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a ton of fun. I always hear about like Sam always does it.
Yeah, or
And-
Light Tech Cosplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she always does it.
And it's just it's nice to kind of throw in one of these events where you can just sit back and relax from the con a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
worried about like entertaining yourself or with
Yeah.
being with people. Just like just kind of enjoy the show for a little
Yeah.
bit. So
Yep. Yeah, no pressure, just hang out.
yeah, so I really enjoyed that. Yeah, because like there's like I'm trying to think because as far as like other shows from cons, like Boston Comic Con, to be honest, I've never been to any of their main events. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I did go to their costume contest last year.
Oh, you did.
It was all right. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was
Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I've seen some bad cosplay contests. No offense, Rhode Island Comic Con, but that's because they have some
I've never been to
organization
that con.
issues
I
with
heard
the
the
people.
organization.
I've gotten
issues
scared
with
away from
Rhode
that
Island
con.
Comic-Con. Yeah, we haven't attended that.
In my opinion, any cosplay contest that doesn't do pre-judging is doomed to fail. in my
Yeah.
opinion. It's too much trying to do on the fly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it sucks being a
Even
cosplayer when they
AAC
do
did
that.
prejudging.
Because you know what happens when you come up there as a cosplayer for a cosplay contest is that if you're someone who they're interested in, before you walk off the stage, they're going to stop you and ask a question and stuff for that. If they don't ask you a question, before you walk off that stage,
Aw.
you weren't even eligible for an award.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
So the thing is that if you're doing prejudging, you get some feedback, you're talking to them, and you feel like you get it.
Yeah.
You get that
It's-
nice
it's
interaction.
Intimidating. I mean, I did do a costume contest, and
So
it was a small one, but it's like intimidating. But at least you do get to talk.
Right?
Yeah, you get to at least talk to them. Like I can
exactly,
imagine
it gets
just
suggestions.
forcing yourself on the stage and having to.
Yep.
It's just organization-wise,
Yeah.
people have to show up way earlier, and it's just people aren't knowing what's going on, and it's just
Yeah, I understand both aspects where it's nice for the you walk off the stage, you feel like you're gonna be a part of it.
Mhm.
At the same time, it would be really upsetting to know you're not going to be. So I understand how Rhode Island Comic Con is kind of nobody knows kind of thing, but I understand where you're coming from, where you need that organization ahead of time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because doing stuff on the fly usually doesn't work out very well.
Especially big events like that, because
Yeah.
usually the
Oh,
cosplay
yeah.
contest
Yeah, 'cause those
is
are
usually a
huge.
part of the biggest
One of the
thing that
biggest
goes
things.
on that weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's usually deathmatch, masquerade, and cosplay contests.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the three biggest things at every anime convention.
And usually Comic-Cons only have the cosplay contest.
Yeah, because they don't
Yeah.
so much.
Sometimes they'll have masquerades where they do skits and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but the
Not
cosplay
often.
contest is always the staple,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I will say Comic-Cons have a lot more big panels. So especially Basel Comic-Con, they had a great job with guest panels. They had a big Star Trek Next Generation panel or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where they had a bunch of the original cast come up and do a
wow.
panel. That was really cool.
Wow.
They have their they almost always have a John Barrowman panel, which is always he's Jack Harkness from he's always entertaining, and just a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, I always feel
Ruby
like
had a
there's
panel.
Oh.
They couldn't fit everybody. They had to do
Oh.
a second one because they felt bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
Well, it's good that they did that, though.
Yeah, at least I did that. I feel like there's
Yeah.
always two types, or there's probably more types, but different types of con goers where it's you either focus on a lot of the panels or you're just mostly a expo hall walker,
Yeah.
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 I will say I love Boston Comic Con's Expo Hall. I feel like that's their strongest point.
That I was
Yeah, it was
really,
pretty
I was
cool.
really. Besides, obviously, the crowding issue, I was very impressed with that.
Yeah.
They have
that
lots
expo
of great
hall.
booths.
Yeah.
And they're doing great with more interactive stuff now I've been seeing. So they had lots of things where you can take photos with and stuff like that. So they have the Ghostbusters
Yeah,
thing. They
yeah,
had
I
a
saw that.
TARDIS,
That's
Doctor Who
And they had,
station.
cool.
they had the Star Wars setup and everything. Yeah,
And I don't see many
really
cons
cool.
doing that. They're-
No,
like
you don't.
the-
Well, there's some cons in California that do that, but
Yeah.
obviously.
Oh, and they have a section for cosplay stuff. So
Really?
they have it wasn't as evident this year because
Oh.
in their past venue they had a separate room for it, but they have a section that's devoted to things you could buy for cosplay and cosplay related stuff.
Oh wow.
Oh.
No,
Yeah. So if you looked on the map, you could see it.
Yeah, I didn't see that last
Do
year.
I have it? Right there, right behind my Osprey cane. The Fan Expo thing.
Oh.
If you look at that, maybe you can. There should be a map in that where you can see the. See the thing, is it in the front? They also do a great job with guests. They have a lot of worthwhile
Yeah,
guests.
Comic Cons do mostly because. They
That's
get
the
a lot of that
focus a lot
stuff.
with Comic Con.
Yeah,
is you go there
Comic-Cons
to
are more
meet.
Oh, there you
people
go.
Focused.
So yeah, so
Oh, Cosplay Alley?
Yep.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't
wow.
even know that.
I
It
feel
was
like we didn't
probably-
even go to that.
I feel like we did, but the overcrowding was such an issue.
Yeah,
I think,
Because you
it's not
had-
separated as much either. You you would go
Yeah.
into it and not even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had focused a lot on.
No, that's really fun.
Yeah.
But-
Oh, put that back again so they can see. That's the convention. That's it. This is a big convention, and it's all in this one map.
Yeah.
They have some floors upstairs that's for guest signings and stuff.
Oh my god.
But for the most part,
Colossal
that's
Titan.
it. And
Yeah.
it was so weird,
But
especially.
it was crowded, and that I think was.
I think we had tried to go
You
through
either
that.
got shoved by near the middle of the day or the end of the day,
Yeah.
so you couldn't really stop to look at stuff.
I
And
think-
then the guests took up so much space.
Yeah, and I think we went through that probably around 1 o'clock when we were really it was super crowded, so we didn't really have time to look at anything. Because when we went there at 10 a.m., we were just looking at some of the regular booths
Yeah.
and a lot of the artist stuff. Because
Yeah.
artist areas at cons are my favorite thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that stuff a lot of things that dealers usually go to a bunch of conventions, but these artists will usually stay like these specific conventions
Yep.
where they're like local to that area.
Yeah.
That's why I love like AAC's Artist Alley and Boston Comic Con or Anime Boston's Artist Alley, because it's just like
And I think
there's
that's
so much
why
unique
Anime
stuff.
NYC was so good, because everybody there was so passionate and happy. Like, yes, we're at an anime con that's local to us, because especially people
Yeah.
in
That's doing good.
Yeah.
Like,
especially people in NYC, there's a lot less people who have easy ways of transportation. If you live in
Oh,
NYC, you
yeah.
probably don't have a car. So
Yeah.
going to cons outside of NYC is a lot harder.
Yeah,
yes, because you can't drive. Either you'll have to fly or you'll have to find some.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're better off going to places that's like where travel makes sense. So like New Jersey is probably
Yep.
an easy way for them to
Yep.
get to other
Yeah.
cons.
Yep.
But yeah, so I imagine a lot of them went to like Anime Next, because that's in New Jersey, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So.
Yes.
But you
Yeah,
could tell that
yeah.
everybody was hungry for a anime con, and it was so great to see. It made me
Good.
happy.
You know,
Yeah, that's always fun.
I really wanted to go last year, but it
I
just
also-
it didn't work out.
It's probably because it's run by Crunchyroll, so they have some great ties with the studios.
Yeah.
But they
I
aired
didn't know
the
Crunchyroll ran the event.
Well, they're kind of
It's
like
half
they're a
and
big
half.
hoster. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's half and
they
half.
pushed it a lot when it was coming out.
Yeah. Well, it's probably because I know that if they do it right, like they'll have crazy success in New York City.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to someone, an organizer, and he said it's half Crunchyroll and half previous organizers from cons at the Javits Center. So you have the local people who know what they're doing with this convention center and all this kind of stuff, and you have Crunchyroll basically doing the
Well,
financial and the
Because
promoting and then all the
Crunchyroll has
organization.
their own con, I think.
No, they don't.
In
This is
California, they had their first. I'm gonna look that up.
Look it up.
I'm pretty sure they had their first solo con like over in California.
It's totally like run by Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
I'm
remember
wondering if you're
seeing-
thinking of a different company. CrunchyCon.
Maybe.
No.
Oh my gosh, I can't even spell.
I don't remember hearing about that.
No, I remember this being. I thought this was a bigger deal because they've never done anything like this before.
Yeah.
Crunchyroll Expo, 2018, San Jose, California.
Oh, so it's this year.
It's a
Yeah.
new
Did it
thing.
already happen or it's happening?
I don't know
Later
if it
on in the
already happened last year, but they definitely had their own con.
Or now have their own?
Yeah, like Anime NYC is powered by Crunchyroll, but you know Crunchyroll does throw something.
Oh,
over.
okay, so it's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was like, I'm pretty sure Crunchyroll's like doing their own things, and then like they have those Crunchyroll Anime Awards and all
Kind of
that
how
fun
like
stuff.
RTX is like a like
Yeah.
a Rooster Teeth con. They've got other gaming
Yeah,
companies
yeah.
in there and stuff like
Yeah.
that, but for the
I'm
most part, it's
assuming
their
that's probably
content.
what Crunchyroll's doing.
Yeah, that
Smart.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially since it's Expo, it's usually a
Yeah.
first, so that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and speaking of sponsors, I want to talk about our sponsor for us, Segways. Why is it when I thought Segways, I immediately thought like Mall Cop, like Segways.
Paul Blart just
Yeah. This is across the screen. Segways.
Paul Blart just wheels right in and wheels out of the screen.
So yeah, this episode and the season, more like, is sponsored by Hero Hair, and Hero Hair is cosplay wigs for the serious adventure. It is the world's first and only custom cosplay wig company run by motion picture and television industry professionals. Hero Hair creates screen-accurate feature film grade lace front custom cosplay wigs and facial hair included, directly from the cosplayer's inspired imagination. Any genre, movies, television, comics, or even original concepts to complete the cosplayer's transformative illusion. Hero Hair wigs are the state-of-art, the absolute highest level of quality that is physically possible, using the most advanced cutting-edge design applications for all useful materials, currently at the vanguard of the professional custom cosplay wig industry. These entertainment professionals bring with them a combined total of more than 100 years of experience in crafting one of the most complex and often misunderstood aspects of cosplay itself, the wig, the literal and figurative crown of cosplay. And with that saying, you know, if you ever want to see their wigs in example, you can go like on the social stuff and look up the hashtag crown your cosplay. That's kind of like their tagline. I like it a lot. And you can see all their, anybody who gets wigs from them, they'll put that on their post so people can see examples of the wigs. And it's really cool. You were talking about, with me earlier, about how wigs was a big detraction for you for doing cosplay stuff.
Yeah. Gotta
Yes.
snatch that wig off at the end of the day.
Oh man.
So,
Just part discomfort and part intimidation because
Mhm.
oh my gosh.
So if you have these
anime,
things-
physics
yeah.
are not a thing.
So not only are they more comfortable because it's custom fit for your head, so
Yeah.
it also works with your hair that you have. Because that's the big thing is that
Yeah.
as I was growing out my hair, wigs fit differently on me.
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But it's like
Yeah.
female cosplayers have a lot of that.
Why do you think we're all cutting our hair short now? No.
It's
It's for
Can't
cosplay.
handle all that heavy hair underneath the wig.
Yeah. So like that, and just being the fact that it looks natural, like that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So you're not thinking about it as much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there's some anime wigs. Like when I do Sora from No Game No Life, that wig is just ridiculous. And I can't
Yeah.
help but feel like a freaking hardcore weeb when I go out to dinner or something like that with that. Because it's a
Oh,
more
yeah.
casual one, so I often go out in public with that.
Yeah,
Ironically.
with the wig.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, we would also like to talk about their featured client, which is Jessica Krause. And I believe, it looks like her tag is just at Jessica Krause. And Krause is spelled Crouse. And Jessica has been a devoted fan of Lucy Lawless / Xenia, Xena, since the day she decided to become a cosplayer to emulate this incredibly strong female character. Not only is she an amazing up-and-coming cosplayer with the general cosplay community, but also an LGBT activist, appearing regularly at the LGBTQ headquarters booth, so many acronyms, at cons across the country, offering support and communal outreach to those not yet comfortable fully presenting themselves to the world as cosplayers, and also members of the LGBT community. LGBTQ activists both at conventions and in life. She's been cosplaying for 5 years, and she's a mom, so she's doing quite a bit.
Yep.
So yeah, go check her out on the socials, and anybody else who uses their wigs with the hashtag #ProudYourCosplay. Thank you for sponsoring us, Hero Hair. Oh yes, and also check out their new website. Don't forget that, herohair.com. They just updated their website. It's really clean and nice. And you can really, if you're still trying to think about this or not even sure, just go check out their website and you can see their demonstrations and what their process is like. And like I was mentioning on the last episode, like they're more than just like a person to sell product. Like they're a service that helps you with your upkeep on wig.
With you.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
really,
nice,
really cool
yeah.
people. So all the parts involving the wig, they got you. They got you, fan, you know. So
That's a big problem is upkeep.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And as we're talking about socials, it kind of like leads into the tip I want to talk about, specifically when you're posting stuff on Instagram. You know, if you're trying to grow, if you're new to cosplay and you're trying to grow your reach, something that you're going to find out is that it's kind of hard to search for things. And really the only way to search for things is with hashtags. Facebook is different. I think Tumblr is different. I don't use Tumblr that much.
Yeah, I'm not really
Tumblr
familiar with
is
Tumblr
like-
either. I thought it was the same deal. So with hashtags and everything.
Tumblr's hard. I know some people that are really successful in Tumblr, and then some people that just like me that just don't get it. And I just don't get it.
I've never even downloaded.
See,
But it
no-
is hashtags too.
For a double tip with that, you can set up so because Instagram is usually arguably the main hub for cosplayers,
Yeah, definitely.
which is
I would say.
important that your reach is maximum on Instagram.
Mhm.
You can have your stuff auto post to Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr
Yes,
with
you
that
can.
one post, so way less upkeep with
Yes.
stuff.
Yep, you
Yep.
can link everything together.
So useful. And I've heard this complaint before about with Facebook specifically. Sometimes it would mess up the reposting and post on your personal page rather than your
yeah.
cosplay page.
Yeah.
This happened to me quite a few times and it was quite aggravating. They, however,
Yeah.
have since updated that, and I haven't had that happen
Oh, that's good.
in like 6
Oh, really?
months.
'Cause
So
I
yeah,
had-
they
I had,
actually fixed it.
I had disabled it from doing that because that was an issue.
That was the main complaint I had because I kept checking every time I post something. I had to check my Facebook, make sure it ended up in the right spot.
Yeah.
And that was annoying because it kind of ruined the point.
Well, no, that's same with it. I was just like, you know what, I'm just not going to try.
But
I
they
didn't know
fixed
they
it,
changed that. Nice.
and I haven't had a problem with it since.
Nice.
So, good job
Yeah.
actually fixing stuff. But yeah, with hashtags, so the main things you want to hashtag is first off, hashtag cosplay, hashtag cosplayer. If you're at a con, hashtag
Yeah.
the cons.
Hashtag
That's
Even-
a big one.
in like
even
every
before
possible way,
the
like
con, like if you're getting
Mhm.
ready before the con,
Your
definitely,
lineups.
yeah, hashtag
Or even
the
just,
con,
like,
or
if you're going to KatsuCon and you're Katsu crunching, hashtag Katsu crunch because
Yeah,
everybody
everybody
loves to
else
check
is-
on
Yeah.
everybody else's Katsu crunch.
Totally.
And it's it.
Then hashtag your character, and then put cosplay after it when people
Yep.
are looking for a certain character
Mhm.
cosplay. I usually like hashtagging the studio that it comes from, and sometimes even
or
at
adding.
them. Yeah.
Sometimes I've done that a few times.
If I'm posting on Twitter, usually I'll
or
add that
companies.
company.
Also, another tip: if you hashtag a lot or you post a lot, you can always save your hashtags into your notes on your phone and then just copy and paste them, because you can't edit comments on Instagram.
Well, that's why I usually...
And I put my tags in the comments. I know a lot of people do it
yeah.
differently. I put my tags in the comments. Some people will put them really far down in the bio.
That still works.
Still, hopefully. Instagram's changing
they,
all
they
the time.
said they were going to be changing, not making comment hashtags.
Yeah, but it still works.
Doable, but yeah, it
I'm
still
not
works.
shadow banned. That's the horrible thing.
Yeah, I usually,
shadow banned.
I usually put in right at the little caption of the image. I'll put like a bunch of periods,
I mean,
and then it'll be like, so you have to hit see more and able to see
I mean,
all
that's
of
a
them.
tip too. I mean, just make sure that your tags aren't on the shadow ban list, because you won't even know. And it's sometimes they're so silly that it could just be something that's relevant to the character, but it can shadow ban your account.
Explain shadow banning.
It's pretty much, shadow banning is like a hashtag that is banned through Instagram, or like a soft ban where it's like they won't. Your photo will still be able to post, but if you hashtag on that photo that phrase or that word, like, it won't show up in hashtag searches.
So I noticed
a lot
this
of bigger
one
cosplayers
time.
have gotten shadow banned.
I found this one time through a weird thing when I was doing. I was looking up. Ironic, this was when I was doing Instagram for different reasons. I was looking up covers for a song called "Skinny Love." So I looked up the hashtag "Skinny Love," and when I searched that, Instagram prompted me saying, like, warning me about the dangers of like malnourishment and all this kind of stuff.
Wow.
So I bet you that one's shadow banned because
probably stuff like that. Like I remember them doing stuff like that, but I mean, yeah, a lot of it. I've seen it more and more. Like, more accounts are getting like what they call shadow banned. Like,
is it an entire account?
It can be your entire account. It can be a
photo. Does that mean none of your hashtags? You
get banned for a little. Like, not banned. You can still post, but it's pretty much.
You can't see your photo on any of those hashtags.
It's only your followers.
It's
probably.
really crappy, and it happens.
There's no way of knowing. That's probably the worst part.
No.
Unless
That's
you
the
realize that
the
you
lack
search
of transparency.
The hashtags.
Why did this happen?
Like, unless
that goes for all social platforms, by the way.
check your tags and see if
YouTube,
your photos
Facebook,
are showing up.
Instagram, everything.
So that being said, though, when it comes down to it, regardless of the algorithms, you'll have a very hard time being found if you don't use hashtags on Instagram.
Yeah.
Even if you don't use it anywhere else, use it on Instagram.
Yes, definitely.
And last one I'll throw in there, adding locations, because especially for locations now, events now have locations.
Yeah,
Yep, like AB,
Otaku-con.
everything has a...
Yeah.
Which is
usually
great.
Tag the convention center, or which better yet, just tag the con.
Yeah.
Warning though, this is a personal preference, but some events now have like a little calendar icon, meaning that they recognize that this is an event and there's only a certain time when you can put in that location, so it's only the duration of the event. And the reason why I don't like that is that later on all my photos don't all end up in the same feed because of they're two separate location tags. So there's like an active one and then like a post one, and I don't like the active one because it's harder to find after point, and sometimes you can't add that.
I haven't even noticed that.
Yeah.
It's only on very specific things. I had that happen at Rhode Island Comic Con.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to know.
So I was like, oh, that sucks. Now my locations aren't the same, and I don't like that, you know?
Yeah.
So I want it all matchy-matchy.
Yeah.
So not all cons have that. All the bigger ones do. Smaller ones don't as much.
Yeah.
But if that's up there, throw it in there. It's a nice little extra bonus way to find it.
I mean, like we were saying, like even like at some conventions even have their own Instagrams. I know Otaku-thon has their own Instagram, and I at them, and like I say at Otaku-thon, or I'll tag them in the photo, and they like it. So it's like, it's cool. Yeah. They do. Otaku-thons actually like some of my photos because I've tagged that con in my photo because I've taken it there.
Well, I'm sure there's a bunch of
So
people
it's cool.
watching that feed all the time. Just like trying to stay connected with their guests. And
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's all I have for that. Hopefully that helps out you people that are trying to improve your social stuff.
Yeah.
It's
really a rough, tips. But
yeah, it's
keep
difficult.
Going.
Yeah,
you can
we
do
will fight the algorithm.
Keep going.
Biggest thing, just don't
Fighting.
give up.
Oh my gosh, seriously. Kind of like a fun, like kind of related to this, and something that like I feel like is really like as we talk about something that's more topical. Related to Instagram is that I feel like a great way to really build more of a community rather than someone that's just following is really utilizing your stories.
Yeah.
Because last year stories got introduced to Instagram. At first I was apprehensive, like this is weird, but then, you know what I found out is that stories is the place to put all of your daily crap in it, where you become more of a personality rather than a cosplayer.
Especially
I like stories a lot.
The way I run my Instagram, and you know, some people are different, but like I like to put you know, finished photos and like
Mhm.
you know, all like the same theme photos or like do a role, but you know, I feel like that takes away from like who I am, and I want to show who I am, but
Mhm.
sometimes I just don't want to put that on my feed forever.
Right.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Now you can archive things and you can still keep them, but you can take them off your like your Instagram
Right.
feed. Because
Mhm.
I'm one of those people that likes like
You don't
3
like
of
your
the
whole
same
stuff?
costumes in a row.
Oh,
And like
gotcha.
making it all look fancy. But it's nice to like you can post whatever you want and then archive it like in a day or two or whatever
Yeah.
if you want like a nice clean feed. But yeah, stories are so fun. That's how I did almost all my like work in progress shots.
Right,
for
because if you're like
Katsucon.
me, I like having my feed as like my portfolio.
Yeah.
And if I want to
Yeah.
show you stuff from my cosplay, there it is. So like the two things you'll
Yeah,
find on my
yeah.
profile is cosplay stuff, sometimes work in progress, and like selfie with cosplay related people or with
Yeah.
friends, you know.
Yep.
But whenever I saw like con
Working on-
updates, if I'm at a con doing stuff, post
Yeah.
it to the
Or
stories.
just regular life
Yep.
things. Like that's a way
Yeah.
people to get to like
No, you're a
See
little
your
bit
life.
more-
And I think that really changed the game for cosplayers. It really changed how we like
It helped a lot.
post and stuff. And then like
pretty much everybody's using it.
yeah,
now.
I love it.
Yeah,
And it's also
I do
a
too.
nice, like, just looking through everybody's stories, seeing what all your cosplay friends are up to and doing
Yep.
stuff. Yeah, and then there's live streaming it too.
Yeah,
Which is
I haven't
cool.
utilized that as
I would-
much,
yeah.
but
It's what's unique about the Instagram live streaming, other than like the Facebook one, is that you Instagram live streams, you can set it so it's only aired then, and it's never aired again. It's not saved or anything. So
Yeah.
it's like Snapchat kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you're there for it, cool. If not, it's not there. And some people don't like to save their live streams, just
Yeah.
like an impromptu thing that they
Yeah.
don't want remembered
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Instagram's a cool thing to do that. And if you want to save it, you can have it up there for 24 hours.
and then it should go in your archived
Yeah.
stories if you don't delete it before the 24 hours. Or,
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I like that. And I think I actually like that it doesn't necessarily save. I feel like it makes it more appealing because it's kind of hard to want yourself to do live streaming because then it's like
Yeah.
it's a lot of
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of live streaming.
What I did do it is that when I went to Anime NYC, it was my first time like
Yeah, that
wandering.
sounds fun. I think I've done
Yeah,
it at a
right.
con before, and it's really fun. People are like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah."
Because it's fun interacting with the people,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And if you have, I will say though, it does help to have at least like probably 500 followers, or else you might only have one or two
Yeah.
people watch it, and then it's not as fun.
Yeah.
But if you have like 8 people watching you and you're talking with them in
Yeah,
real
yeah.
time,
keep
that's fun.
Conversation going.
You know?
Yep.
sometimes people will do their makeup while they're live streaming. You can watch the
Yeah.
makeup
Yeah.
process,
Yeah,
and then you
yeah.
can
A
chat
lot.
with them.
That's
That's
fun.
fun.
Really cool.
Fun.
Seeing what goes into it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love stuff like that, and I think it's really it's out of all the things that Instagram has done, that's the biggest improvement that they've made to the cosplayer game inadvertently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah, it came at a good time too, because I was, at least for me, because I was really thinking just like I want to post more stuff, like more like
Yeah,
impromptu
but
stuff, but it
how
doesn't
now?
fit on my story.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that's exactly what I use mine for. Because obviously mine's going to be the images I post. On the,
exactly,
Yeah,
yes, yeah. As a photographer, that
It's
makes
going to
a
be kind
huge
of weird
difference.
just having random like things of me there, so I'll just put it in my story. Or
Because you
whatever.
want people to look and be like immediately bombarded by like images. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, look at this
Yeah.
one, this one, this one, this
Yeah.
one. You don't want to be
Yeah.
like try to filter out all the
And then-
personal
Here's my
stuff.
life.
Yeah, there's
I
selfies.
don't know,
He
here's
went
my
here.
work.
Oh, he went there. Oh, there's his cheeseburger.
Because some people.
Hey,
are-
but you can make a cheeseburger look damn good.
some people may
Yeah.
argue is like, well, why don't you make a separate account? Because the nice thing that Instagram has done is that they've added the easy switch account features where you can be logged
Yes.
into multiple accounts. Pretty
That's
seamless. But the thing is that even with
It's hard to
cosplay,
maintain.
what?
It's hard to maintain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
2
with
accounts.
even with cosplay life, you have different personal stuff to share. So like the things
Mhm.
related to cons, related to cosplay stuff that you want to talk about, but it doesn't make sense with the post.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, you can choose to post like actual just personal stuff about you on there, but there's also just more personal stuff about cosplay in general that doesn't make sense for stories.
Yeah.
So that's why it wouldn't make sense to have a separate, in my opinion, a separate account for just personal
Plus,
cosplay
it's
stuff.
Yeah.
hard to grow that second account.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
everybody
so
you want to
hard.
see this either doesn't know about your new page or isn't following it, so they don't see it.
And this is the big thing that helped out. It helped out clear out the feeds with the important stuff because now it wasn't getting spammed with people posting all this stuff on the feed.
Or all their
Yes.
selfies, and you're
I
like,
almost forgot
that's
that
like
was a
the
problem.
7th photo you posted today. It's okay, but
Yeah, because now it's all
I can't
nice
see
and neat.
anybody else's stuff.
And you can hide
Yeah.
the stories. You can just choose
Yeah.
not to look at the stories at all if that's not what you're into. It's just a really nice way of filtering
it's
the
a good
content.
feature.
Yeah, stories are great.
Yeah.
It
Stories are
really is a good
fantastic.
feature.
Only they would filter out the content in the way that we want to be just most recent.
Only they would get rid of ads.
I could care less about that. I just
Nah,
want to see. I want to see
Yeah,
my
I'm fine
pictures
with that.
chronologically.
It's the way
Yeah.
how they make money.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, as we're talking about content and photos, I feel like as we're going into our closing segment, the biggest like underrated thing about cosplayers is the photographers that go with them, because
How
without
would
that,
we capture that moment?
yeah, if my profile was just selfies, it'd be kind of lame, you know, just like photos with my cameras.
Some people are getting really good at like the camera. Like you put it on a little tripod, turn it around. I mean,
No, there's a lot of people.
possibilities are endless.
There's a lot of cosplayers I know that actually take a lot of their own images.
Yeah.
And it's
I think it's
incredible.
becoming more of a thing too. I mean, it's people just really want to like do a lot of it and be in control of a lot of it, and comfort. You know, a lot
That's
of it's
fair.
comfort level.
Yeah,
You know, they don't
exactly.
have to.
Yeah.
You know, they can just pop it up and take it of themselves.
I also really think it's nice because not even just having one photographer, having multiple photographers that you like to go to because they have their different ways of
Different style,
photography.
yeah.
So that's always nice
Yeah.
of like your content doesn't always look the same. You got different feels
Yeah.
for even
I
for the same
definitely feel
cosplay.
Yep.
Because like photographer styles are great. Like I love seeing them,
It
and they look
varies
lovely.
so
But
much.
you know, when I'm cosplaying Love Live, I'm probably not gonna want the same type of photo than if I was cosplaying like some hardcore like gaming character or something
with
like
crazy
that.
dramatic lighting.
Yeah,
versus
I mean
you
that's
want something
or
that's
like
just
my armored
light
cannon compared to like regular Love Live. Like I feel like those
Yeah.
are two different things. They're atmospheres I want to create. So, and it's okay. It's okay that
Yeah,
you know not
absolutely.
every person can do. You know.
You've really grown into your style this past year with just like the kind of like faded,
Trying
soft
to,
look.
yes.
Oh,
I'm a
it's
huge fan of that.
beautiful.
I've been working on
What
that.
what's your page again? Throw that out there if people want to check it out.
Page is Sono Photos on everything.
You want to spell that out just so people don't get
Yep. SOHNO Photos.
boom.
Yep.
Excellent. Yeah, and like I mean this like totally seriously, not just because you're here. Like you have progressed faster than any other photographer that I've been
Aw.
following.
Thank you.
Like your photos were already great. Like, cause I remember the first time I saw you shoot was Anime Boston last year.
He's
Ye-
been
It was
doing
last
for
year.
2 years
It's
though.
crazy to think that was only last year
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they were great photos, but now you got so much else going for you where it's
Yeah,
like a whole
I've
nother
been-
level is like cinematic. It's just so
I've
cool.
been putting so much effort
Yeah,
into
it's
it.
just-
Like I go to work and then I come home and just my life is photography. It is it. On the
Yeah.
side, weekends is photography.
Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of it is, you know, wanting to grow. I mean, I feel like it's related to cosplay too. You know, it's not you're not just gonna do it once and expect to be great at it.
Yep.
And you can't
gotta
always
keep pushing
you
yourself.
can't
It's
always
easy
be
to get-
happy with like the last thing you did. You know, and for as artists, as most of us cosplayers and photographers are, you know, if you're okay with where you are, there's nothing wrong with that. But you're not gonna grow. And the second you start
keep
to
pushing
be
yourself.
okay, yeah, like you're gonna stop growing. So always wanting to be better and like better yourself and like. And that's just what he does. Like he just
Like,
wants to keep
Just
getting
very,
better and
very
better.
critical of myself,
Mm.
Yeah.
which can be aggravating, but at the same time, if I wasn't so critical, I wouldn't improve. So.
Yeah, and that's why it's always really good about like unapologetically showing people your stuff. Like, hey, I want your
Yeah.
feedback. I want opinions. I
Yeah.
want to know what you think about
That's
it
the
because
biggest thing with me.
Yeah.
I
sometimes
just
you
want
stare at
feedback.
stuff for too dang long and
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
you get in your own
Oh,
head.
there's so many times when I'm editing an image and it's been like working on the same one for like 3 hours.
3 days later.
And then the next day I go back to the image and I'm like, what was I thinking?
I hate that.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, just scratch that, and then I edit it again in an hour, and it's 100 times better.
Yeah.
yeah.
It just
See, I'm not
It's
I'm not
hilarious.
really a cosplay photographer, but I do videos for the
Yeah.
Geek Kind channel.
sometimes
And
it's
when I
just-
started out with that, I wasn't because there's so many challenges with shooting at a con specifically
Oh, yeah.
that you're
Oh,
just
yeah.
not prepared for, even as an
And
established.
photography
yeah,
and
some
videography.
people- And that's fine. You know, some people are really different, and I think that's a lot of like just for. Ooh. Oh
Fine.
no.
We're good.
You're good.
Yeah, we're all
Oh,
good.
okay. Okay. No. You know, some things with that is like it's really hard sometimes to pick a photographer as a cosplayer because you know some are good at different things. You know, some are really good at taking you on location, but some can't adapt to like the convention style photography.
I mean,
Some can
it
do
all
it
depends
really
It all
well.
depends on what you're looking for.
Lighting
Yeah.
is also
All
a
depends
challenge.
yeah.
on what you're looking for.
But it
yeah.
also like there's tons of photographers now. You know,
There's
that's
a
the good
lot
thing.
you need to know
There's a
for
lot
that
of
kind
options,
of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Um,
options. There's a lot of people.
Know how of the space too. I
Yeah.
refuse. It's kind of like a personal policy. If I'm charging for a shoot, I refuse to open stuff up for a con that I've never been to, because I would need to know the space. Because the thing is that so many times your plans are going to get changed.
Yeah.
Weather happens if you plan on shooting outside and
Yep.
place it. I need to know this con layout, because usually all it takes is a weekend of being at the con and you know all these places and nooks and crannies. Like, you'll always know more later on, but you'd be surprised how much you can absorb in one weekend just by walking around it a million times.
Yeah.
So having that knowledge, you can make quick changes way more confidently. It's like, oh, this place, all of a sudden this place that you want to shoot at has a group shoot going on there. You can't do your photo shoot there.
Yeah.
And then you instantly think, where else can I shoot? And you just go to the place.
The biggest place to experience that kind of thing.
You can get gorgeous photos at Katsucon, but my gosh, you need to be flexible.
Gotta have an open mind.
You gotta have an open mind, you gotta be flexible, you gotta be willing sometimes to
especially if you don't want anybody in the
wait
shot.
those hours, you gotta wait, people pass by.
And I'm sure as you could just, like,
can
anybody
shut them
who's
up.
like wanting to get into cosplay photos or videos, you have to expect a grind for, I'd say,
100%. And it's really, really, really easy to, like, get discouraged in this community as a cosplayer and as a photographer, because there is already someone that is incredible and, like, you'll be wanting to do a cosplay and then you'll see a big, like, someone that's well known doing it and it's like crazy good. Don't let that stop you.
No.
Like, just do it.
You gotta let those people inspire you, not deter you. Because when you talk to those
Yes.
peoples, they're not gonna be like,
they're gonna just love that you're in the same cosplay as them.
Exactly.
Like,
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Most of the time, yes.
and
oh, they totally will. I've never experienced.
Oh, I haven't
otherwise.
either.
and so, and
You just
I
instantly
think
connect with them.
I think that, like, people take it the wrong way. It's like intimidation when they should look at it as inspiration.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah, so which
it is hard to switch
Which
that
even
mindset.
even me to this point, there's sometimes I see where it's like it like totally discourages me. But then I just like sit on it for a day. And I'm just like, dude, just let this inspire you to do that much better.
Because I already know, like, the most rewarding part is when you finally get those photos to the people and their reactions are
And
almost
they
always
excited.
just freaking out,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden all those anxieties and things just melt away, and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm
You're
so
so
happy that I was
nervous.
able to, like, provide you this
Oh, yeah.
content, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's like the best feeling. One of the main reasons I do it, just because it's like
It's that moment.
people are always
you
so
know?
happy. Yeah.
And sometimes you have those moments in cosplay too,
Oh,
where you
yeah.
cosplay something that you love, and you're at a con, and, like, saying if you're doing, like, a really niche character is a great example. There's not many people that recognizes you, and you're like, you're happy that you did it, but then,
Yeah.
like, you're hanging out with all your friends and they're getting stopped a lot, and you're just like, oh, okay, that's fine.
That's all right, like,
And then there's that one person who sees you and freaks out because they never thought they'd see this cosplay,
Yeah.
and they give you all the love, and that one person is all you needed to make your
Oh,
weekend.
100%.
You know?
Well, that was like when I did me, Mike, and Orson did the Rowdy Rough Boys at Anime Boston. Like, that's a pretty niche thing. Like, you don't. I mean, Powerpuff Girls, yeah, but Rowdy Rough Boys, like, you don't see that like, ever. And there was a couple people that just like freaked out and it was like, oh my god, I wasn't
This is-
expecting anything because it was
this
so
is
out there.
It's so fun.
Yeah,
I think, like,
such a good feeling.
not to be demeaning, but having lower expectations really helps.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, no, I
have low
completely agree with
expectations.
that because, you know, I think a lot of the things that we get let down because we're expecting something or we're expecting people to act this way or we get really excited for them to, and, like, you can't always get upset because, you know, sometimes things don't always go as planned. But like you said, you know, not necessarily lowering expectations, but kind of, you know, you'll be that much more excited when somebody does, you know, recognize you or say, like, even if it's just one person, like, it means a lot.
Yeah. But, and then again, kind of like we're talking about last episode, is that you have to do it for yourself first.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna have. Don't get me wrong. You're gonna have moments where you doubt yourself.
Yeah.
Streams
Everybody
on you. You
does.
question yourself, but you have to. At the end of the day, your want to do it can't solely be on other people. It have to be. It has to start with the fact that you want to do
Yes,
this.
that makes you happy. That's the biggest thing.
Like,
Yeah.
because then there's also weird things because, like, for instance, you could say I love photo editing. But there's lots of other elements to photography that's not photo editing, so you have to grind through those things that you don't like to get to the part that you do like.
Yep.
So, and that's just part of the business,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, totally is.
Name of the game.
Yep.
What's it like coming from the other side? Because you're mainly a photographer, not a cosplayer.
Yeah.
You've dabbled with cosplay.
A couple times.
Yeah.
Yes, primarily.
But what's it like interacting like with like you have a great relationship with like Nick and like cosplayer to photographer relationship and stuff like that. What's it like coming from like the
I feel
other
like
end
that
of
definitely helps him though. Like me being a cosplayer, like he knows a lot of the stuff that like I worry about at a photo shoot because I'm primarily a cosplayer. So like I feel like
that definitely
yeah.
helped me significantly grow. I think just being with her because I was able to try things with her and not worry about failing because it's like we can do it again easily.
Yeah.
Like, and
starting out with friends is always a great place to start.
Starting out with friends
definitely
is,
start out with
is
friends.
the biggest thing. Yeah, keep shooting your friends and. That sounded awful.
Keep shooting your friends.
Keep photographing your friends. Work with your friends. Try crazy things.
Yeah.
Don't be scared to try.
You never know it'll work, and
biggest thing as a photographer
create
is
something
just
great.
Make the experience fun for the cosplayer because a lot of cosplayers have come to me and have been very intimidated by photo shoots.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary to sit in front of a camera and like be the best version of you, and sometimes you don't even know what that is, and it's hard.
Yeah.
It really is.
And you can just, like, the experience of the photo shoot is half of it. Yes, obviously getting the images back is huge, but...
Doing the photo shoot itself.
If the photo shoot itself was insanely fun, you're just going to love the images that much more.
So what really makes the difference of, like, a good/fun photo shoot for you rather than a bad experience? Like, what's the difference there?
I don't really know. I mean, I just love doing it so much. I have like never.
It's kind of hard to have a bad time.
Yeah. Unless obviously it's raining.
Well, like the cosplayers
like
themselves.
If it's raining,
like,
what about it? What do you mean?
As in, like the relationship, like from photographer to cosplayers. Like, what have the cosplayers done for you that's made the shoot like better? Or like if you could like tell cosplayers like what do you do to like to help out a photographer? Because like we don't know. Because how many times have you like done photos for someone and they're like I don't know what I'm doing and they like tell me what to do.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean that's really. It's just like biggest thing is just to make sure everybody's just loose. Like, don't worry about being so tense.
Bring a friend.
I highly suggest bringing friends because
and
that instantly makes you more confident having somebody you know there.
Yeah, and I mean, if a photographer doesn't let you take a friend, there's something wrong there because you should always be willing to have a friend with
buddy
you.
System is the biggest thing, no matter who you're working with, no matter what. If it's your first time, second time, always bring a friend. It's just
because it should always be fun and relaxed and
safety and confidence.
No stress. I mean. I've never ever worked with somebody who's been
but I can't
apprehensive about me bringing somebody.
I really can't thank everybody I've worked with enough either because like I am not the same person I was 2 years ago. Like I was totally 100% like this little introvert, did not talk to anybody, and like doing photo shoots forces me to interact and it's forced me to become more outgoing and it's literally like changed my life.
That's so cool.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's incredible. Like
I never even thought, like, that's because I'm, like, a really big extrovert, but I never even thought about it. It's like, you were forced to,
like...
I
mean, we were both very introverted together.
It's part of the reason I just wanted to do it so much, because I'm like, it forces me to get out there. I've made so many new friends because of photo shoots. Like, that's really, like, all the friends I made in 2016 and this past year have, one way or another, been related to photo shoots or becoming friends with them and then meeting their friends and just...
Big happy family!
Yeah.
Aww. That's awesome.
Really good group of people.
What's the things that you're looking for after the shoot and the relationships with that? Like, what are you looking for them to do for you? Like when they post your photos and stuff like that.
What do you mean?
As in, like when it comes to things like giving credit and stuff like that. Like, what do you personally like to see? Because I know it's different for every photographer.
I mean, personally, as long as I'm...
That's a good start.
Just love my photo!
You just like the photos, I'm happy. But, like, I mean, as far as credit-wise, just tag me for taking the photo.
Yeah.
It's
pretty simple.
I mean, I know I would prefer watermark and stuff to stay in there. I usually keep mine pretty small, so, like, with Instagram, it's kind of hard. Because, obviously, if you're doing a portrait style, there's plenty of apps to put the whole image in there.
Yeah.
But some people... InShot,
one app is called InShot. It works great.
I use
no watermark. You don't have to buy anything.
Square Ready is the app I use. Yep, that allows you.
I use InShot.
Square Ready is free also.
What's mine called? Because I also have one.
There's a ton of apps out there to do it, but
no excuses, cosplayers.
I mean, well, that's where it depends on the photographer because like
InPix editor is mine.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah,
but like that's where it also depends on the photographer or the cosplayer. Like I know some people won't do it. I'm like, I tell them at the beginning of the shoot, I'm like, I understand Instagram like automatically crops your images. If you do that, it's like it's fine.
I think
It's
the
not a big
tagging
deal,
is more
but just,
important.
Just please just
Yeah,
make
at
sure
least
there's a
tag
link
in
to
the
my page in
bio.
one way or another.
Yeah. Because
And I'm happy.
that's a good way how you guys get jobs. It's like, wow, I like this person's
Exactly.
photo.
Yeah.
How do I get to this person?
Even with like
Yeah,
any artist,
exactly.
you know, credit where credit is due, man.
Yeah.
Because like,
Better do. Especially photographers. If you're posting, you better tag that.
Credit that
cosplayer.
cosplayer.
I've seen photographers that post pictures of people, and I'm like, this is awesome.
Who is it?
yeah.
Who is this?
Who is it? I mean, I know it's
Goes both ways.
photographers-
Goes both
Like
ways.
I know it's hard at cons to get their information, but just ask. Like most of the time, cosplayers have handles. Like just
You'd
ask
be
what
Or
cards.
surprised.
They'll have cards, or they'll tell you their handle on
Yeah.
whatever social
Oh.
media they're on.
Just tag them. They'll love it, and then they'll get to see your photo, and then
And guess
then
what?
they can share your
Especially
photo.
if you're someone who just does haul shots. If you tag them and they like your photo, they're way more apt to do like a paid shoot with you
Yeah.
in the
100%.
future.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
just that little
Or
extra,
tell their friends about you. Just
Exactly.
Look at this awesome
that little
picture.
extra gesture means so much.
Yeah.
You know.
It means a lot to the cosplayer too, because I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of work photo editing, but I mean it's a lot of work putting on that costume,
Mhm.
and
I mean-
you never know. Your photo may have been the only one that they got in, and then they never see
And
it
then they
again
never
because
see
they
it 'cause
don't.
they're
You
never
never tagged
tagged.
them. Yeah.
It's the way I look
Yeah.
at it. Cosplayers and photographers, they're a team.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh,
like
yeah.
we work together to make.
Neither of them
this
in
happen.
this community. Well, I mean, cosplayers would still be cosplayers, but like the relationship between both of them, they wouldn't be anywhere near they are now
Without
if
the
it
other.
wasn't for the other
Yeah.
person.
Oh yeah.
There's no I in team.
Nope.
Did you say there is a me though?
There isn't me. Oh my god. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Devil's advocate over here.
Yeah, that's good. And like everybody has, just like how we talked about there's so many different types of cosplayers and their ways of cosplay. Same thing with the photographers, you know? So, because some like doing shoots, some like doing haul shoots where they just go around and take
just like
photos.
doing all shots.
Yeah.
Some just like doing on location stuff.
I'm like just
Like
doing
me, I don't
conventions.
do very much haul shot anymore. That was big when I was like first trying to like get my name out there, which makes sense because that's the only way
Yeah.
to.
That's a good way to get
people see your
experience, to be
stuff.
honest, you know?
Yeah, and then but I, 100% prefer on location shoots, but I
Yeah.
also love doing shoots at cons.
As someone who has done haul shoots, talking to people who are getting started and want to do haul shoots, what is the proper way to approach cosplayers?
Make sure you ask them to take the picture. Do not snipe. Sniping is my biggest pet peeve.
Sniper no.
Sniping.
Sniper no
Swiper
sniping.
no swiping. Sniper no
And
sniping.
and that includes other photographers' setups as well. So like sometimes, and I'll feel bad for the photographers. So I'll see a photographer taking a picture of me, and then like sometimes at paid shoots, and they'll sneak in and try to get that
Yeah.
same
That's
shot.
just,
It's becoming a bad culture.
I mean, it happens a lot at bigger cons, obviously, but I mean, and there's a lot of times when someone in like a cosplay will get a photographer just say, "Hey, can I take your picture?" And then all of a sudden everybody just like huddles around.
That happens.
I mean, it's one of those things that like I'm trying my hardest to like
Call
Mhm.
people out.
call
on.
people out. Like if I see someone doing it, I'm
Yeah.
just like, "Did you ask to take the picture?" Like just because it's such a big thing for me. But sometimes there's so many people you can't do that,
Yeah.
and it's just one of those things that I don't think you can ever fully get rid of. But I'm trying my hardest
I know,
to
it's
like
hard.
stop it and let it be known that you really need to ask permission.
Absolutely.
Just ask permission.
Because
it's
that's a
not
good
that
way to
hard.
make sure they're looking right at you too for the shot.
If
Yeah,
you want
and
the best
they'll have
photo-
poses, and they'll make
Seriously.
it better for you. That's,
With a haul shot, 9 times
Yeah.
9 times out of 10 they'll already have a pose in mind.
Yep.
So
It's
Don't think sniping a photo is gonna get the best shot. Just ask.
and also
Just ask.
don't be scared of getting told no. I've been
Yeah,
told no
yeah.
more times than I can even count.
Sometimes cosplayers
It
need breaks
happens.
too.
Sometimes they need
Yeah.
breaks. Sometimes they just
Yeah.
don't want their
But-
picture being
I've
taken.
had people come up to me and ask me, and like, it's not that I didn't want that person to take my picture. It was because it was like
bad time.
I was just so
Bad time.
exhausted, or I just really needed a break.
or you
and
had somewhere to be.
or I had somewhere to be. Like photographers, don't think no is like no forever, and don't take
No,
it
no.
personally.
No,
like yeah,
Because
they-
don't ever take that
As long as
personally.
they're not obviously resting or obviously eating.
Yeah, don't ask when
yeah.
you're eating either. Or they're
Nine-
sitting
yeah.
down, or they have part of their costume off. They obviously need a
If
break.
they're walking
so-
around or standing somewhere, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say yes. Because guess what? Newsflash, cosplayers like to be
Yeah,
photographed. Like, that's
for
the thing.
most
So,
part,
like,
yeah,
photographers out there, don't
But
be afraid to
just
put yourself out there. Just do it
ask.
properly,
Oh, yeah.
and
you know?
politely.
Have cards. Have
Mm,
cards.
Big tip right
Biggest
there.
thing. You can
Photographer,
do
that.
Moo is what I use, or a little bit more
A lot of
expensive,
people
but
use
you can do
Vistaprint.
you can do Vistaprint,
You
much
can
cheaper
get-
option.
If you get the sale right, you can get 500 cards
Yeah.
for $10.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously it's not going to be like the same quality as like Moo, but
No.
it still has your name on it.
And that's the
Has-
important part.
Yep, it has all your like ways to find your pages on all social media platforms.
Oh, it's also a good idea to have your separate page for photography because it helps that
Yes.
portfolio thing going on.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, definitely.
awesome.
Yeah.
What's
Go hand in hand.
Yeah.
like kind of to finish off? Is there one, if you could tell yourself 2 years ago when you got started, one big tip that would have helped you out the most? What would it be?
Stop being so nervous. It's the biggest thing.
Right.
I would always get like so super anxious, but it's just like the shoots always go so well. Just like take it one step at a time. Just I mean, obviously do your research. That's the biggest thing. But I did that at the beginning. Like do your research before you shoot. Have like poses in mind, so you're not just kind of drawing blanks in the middle of the shoot. And biggest thing, just don't give up. Cliche, but
No,
like
but it's
it's
true,
just
like,
saying.
even
I
in
just
cosplay,
keep
yeah.
pushing yourself. There's so many times I was so down on myself, ready to just like throw it all away.
Yeah.
So thankful I didn't. I mean, you helped me a lot too with that, pushing me through those rougher
Yeah,
patches.
well, it's hard.
but-
It's hard for anybody. I mean, it's such a and I don't want to say competitive because I mean, I feel like that's what people think inside themselves is whether you determine if it's competitive or not. But there's so much to compare yourself to, and it's so hard to get lost in that.
It's so
especially when-
easy to get lost
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah, it is
But yeah, use other people's work as inspiration,
not as
Not
competition.
intimidation.
not
Never
intimidation.
Yeah. Don't be intimidated.
That's it.
No.
I like
Ask.
that line.
Yeah, that
if
line
you
is
if you have
is
a favorite
perfect.
photographer or like cosplayer, like just ask them.
Yeah, if anybody ever has a question,
99% of the time they want to help you too.
yeah, like me, if you ever have a question, like I love sharing my knowledge, just feel free to ask me. My DMs are always open on Instagram, Sono Photos.
Always
mean,
plug.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
kidding.
yeah, but
No,
I
I
mean,
know, I
really,
know,
if
I
anybody
know.
ever has any question how I do anything or how someone does
Yeah.
something, odds are I'll have a good idea or know how to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Not that I know everything because I don't.
Right.
I'm far from it, but I know a good chunk.
you can hold your own.
Yes. Yes, I can hold my own.
Or point you in the right direction.
Well,
Yep.
I feel like that's a pretty great way to end it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on this for this
Yeah.
conversation.
My pleasure.
It's pretty awesome. And yeah, hit them up for some photo shoots, guys. It's
Yeah.
pretty sweet. You do both con shoots and on location shoots. So
Yes.
even if you're not going to a con, don't let that stop you from messaging him.
If you're in
Yep.
the Northeast.
Hey.
If you're anywhere, I go to cons all over the
Oh,
East Coast.
yeah.
We haven't branched out yet to like
Yeah.
California.
Doesn't mean you won't.
Doesn't mean I won't.
So, cool.
Yep.
Alright. Well, thank you for watching this episode of Coscast, and we'll see you on the next one. Oh, wait! Before we end, I got one more thing to plug for us. We have a live show. You can come watch
Woo!
the show live at Cape in Nashua, New Hampshire. It is happening. Let's see, I gotta find the exact date of the con, but Cape is Cosplay and Photography Expo. It's run by a company called Nerd Caliber. Some of you in the area are very familiar with them. They run a really awesome, cool convention. And we are going to have a live recording where you can be in the audience and listen to us live. That's going to be pretty wild.
I know.
And that is happening at July 28th. So go check out nerdcaliber.com for more information on the convention. But yeah, we'll have more info on that online. But come to our live recording. That'd be pretty wild, eh? So,
No, it's gonna be cool.
sweet.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. All right. Stay kind, geeks.